Hi, so today for my final project, I will be talking about second grade and literary elements. So, the TEKS information you would need to know is multiple genres, listening, speaking, reading, writing, and thinking using multiple text, literary elements. The student recognizes and analyzes literary elements within and across increasingly complex traditional, contemporary, classical, and diverse literary texts. The student is expected to discuss topics and determine theme using text evidence with adult assistance, describe the main characters, internal and external traits, describe and understand plot elements, including the main event, the conflict, the resolution for text read out loud and independently, and describe the importance of the setting. So, materials that will be needed is a computer, and the application we will be using is Socrative. The activity students will first need to understand and review terms by using Socrative as an application. There, we will learn proper definitions and the terms that go with them. So, it's really important that the students know the terms before we actually start in analyzing and evaluating text. So, that is why I will be using Socrative as a resource. Understanding comprehending literary elements using Socrative. Here is my link to the quiz I created with all of the terms needed to know and understand what the literary elements are for my students. But if that does not work out, we do have a backup plan. So students will make flashcards of the words and definitions. Then we will work as a group in learning them. So I will be up front in the classroom reading the definitions, and my students will raise their hands, and they will, if they get the answer right, they'll get a prize, or if they don't, we'll try again. We'll come back to it. So I think that would also be just as effective as using Socrative, in my opinion. Differentiation. Gifted students, they can start with what I have already created, but if they need something more challenging, I can make a higher level assignment. I can also encourage them to help their fellow classmates on what they may not understand. So if I have a gifted student that truly really is getting the work and understanding it, but I have another student that isn't, they can go over there and explain to the other student. They can help each other out. English learners, can have someone available to help and read questions to my students that have a harder time understanding. Even the students can even help each other. Special needs, use pictures. Be pretty graphic on what you're talking about. I think more examples would be necessary to provide, and also offering headphones for them to focus and listen to the information if needed. Assessment, I will be using a formative, ongoing assessment while my students can participate on the online activity, looking at what they miss and how they can improve. So Socrative also offers where teachers can look at what their students are getting right and what's wrong, which really helps as a total, because it also shows how the class overall is doing. Higher order thinking. So for SAMR, I decided to go with modification because I believe it gives students an opportunity to learn another way other than the traditional flashcards or paper and practice tests. Also, although those are beneficial at times, since the world is evolving, this Socrative offers more resources towards for the teacher and for the students other than just a pen and paper. So for rat, I decided to go with amplification. um, it's different, but it allows me to still teach the same concept. So it's different from what I typically would do, but I still am able to teach my students the proper information. And then for blooms, I did understand and remember. Uh, They understood the terms, and they can apply the terms and the knowledge they have gained in their upcoming assignments. So, like, say for example, we are reading a short story. I need my students to be able to find the literary elements in that short story and make sure that that they understand it well. For Webb's doc, I did acquired knowledge and knowledge application. So with Socrative, they will be learning the terms, and they will be applying them to the upcoming assignments that they will have. ISTE learner, how to use Socrative properly that will allow my students to memorize and understand terms at their own pace. So with Socrative, you can make it to where it's your own pace, where it's your students' own pace, or you can have it timed, I believe. So that kind of just based on your students' understanding levels, that is a good way they can learn. And then I will continue to use Socrative as a way to memorize terms that are necessary to move forward in teaching a lesson. ISTE leader. I will get my students the resources they need to learn literary terms effectively or efficiently, and my students will lead in open discussions and answer questions relevant to the topic. So, say for instance, they're learning the literary elements, but they need examples. So I can give them examples of what the climax is, what the rising action is when reading a story, and they will be able to identify that. ISTE citizen, I will monitor my students' computer use, encourage students to respect and use technology positively, and a big thing is citing sources appropriately. ISTE collaborator, I will work with other ELA teachers to make sure that my lessons are accurate and that they pertain to what is needed to be taught. I will share my lessons if someone wants to use them, and I also will keep a very open mind to change if I get some constructive criticism on how I should teach my lesson. I think that's huge, especially even if it's coming from my students as well. If they feel that they're not getting what the information that they need to get, I am very, 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 I can easily change my mind and help it to make it work for them. Opening up to new technologies that will benefit my students in their learning experience. That's super big. Continuously just doing research on new technologies that will help in the classroom. ISTE designer, make assignments, I'm so sorry, appealing to the eye with color and fun designs. So as a student myself, I think that is super huge because we all like pretty things. And as a second grader, I believe they don't want something that is just black and white. They want something that is fun and that is easy on the eye. Design lessons that can work for all of my students based on their learning styles. That's super important. So you kind of have to just look at the class and decide like what you think is best gonna work for your students and how each and one of them do on your assignments. Design technology based lessons. So since we are now our world is very technology filled, I believe that it is important that we do incorporate the technology lessons because there's so many broad resources that you can use. ISTE facilitator. I think I mentioned this at the beginning, but my students, they help each other. They assist each other. So I think that's super important. I will monitor my students' work, but still allow them to think on their own and come up with their own ideas. And what I mean by that is I'm still going to be looking, I'm going to be watching, but if there is something that I think they could do better, I'm happy to give them feedback on that. Students will be able to work on their own or have partners, and I will give them that option. So some students don't want a partner, and some students do. And I think if you work better with another person, or if you don't, it's just you should have the option. I think that is it for some people it works, some people it doesn't. Students will be encouraged to keep trying when they miss questions. That's another thing, like, we're not going to move forward until you get this. Come on, you got this. So I think that is super important. ISTE analysis. Socratic will allow me to see how my students are doing on the quizzes, exit tickets, and space races. If students are having trouble learning the terms, I will look into better ways we can learn them. And thank you.